It's time to talk about 10 more bonkers horror movies streaming for free on Tubi. This is the regular series where I recognize the horror section on Tubi looks absolutely insane. There's so much crazy looking stuff. So I dig through there, find the hidden gems, and let you know what's good. So my name is Daniel with the Cobwebs channel, and let's get started. Spellcaster from 1988. A group of contest winners are killed one by one while participating in a $1 million treasure hunt in a mysterious Italian castle. Basically, this is like a horror Willy Wonka, except it does suspend my disbelief a little bit more. You see, the two main characters in here are two siblings who coincidentally are both some of the 7 winners in the entire world. I think it would have been a lot more believable if one of them was the winner and then they got to bring a +1 and that's why they're both there. Like Charlie and Grandpa Joe didn't both find golden tickets. That would be insane. But much like that classic story, you've got a lot of flawed contestants being brought into this mysterious place, though they're not as clearly or well drawn as in Willy Wonka. And it's all centered around a celebrity, not a chocolatier, but an alcoholic diva pop star. All right, so this is an Empire Pictures film. I love Empire Pictures. They made a lot of fun, cheesy movies back in the 80s. It was Charles Band's first company before he went on to make Full Moon. And this one was actually supposed to come out right around the time Empire started having their financial difficulties and they went under. So this ended up just premiering on TV and then going straight to video. But I think it's a lot of fun. This is exactly the kind of ridiculous, cheesy horror movie that I love discovering. And it's a good old-fashioned crystal ball movie where our spellcaster, Diablo, who's actually played by musician Adam Ant, is casting these spells from the crystal ball, killing off the contestants or turning them into something evil. You get a whole bunch of monsters here. There's so many different crazy practical effects. No nudity though, which I only bring up because that's strange for a Charles Band movie, but it's particularly strange for this film because it's so constantly leading up to that and then just doesn't do it. Like there's this one scene in particular that's so clearly a sex scene, but then it's just not. And then I'm like, why is this in the movie? Some of you guys are going to think this sounds terrible. Some of you guys are thinking 80s horror Willy Wonka with a bunch of monsters. I'm in. And you should be. But let's talk about another Charles Band Empire film, and a much more popular one this time, Ghoulies from 1985.
I got an idea. Let's do a ritual.
Yod-Hey-Vah-Hey. You do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself.
Hey, knock it off!
This is about a young couple who move into an old mansion home. And when the man finds a box of satanic ritual stuff in the basement, he's gonna feel the need to start summoning some ancient demons. Even if you haven't seen this movie, you've probably seen the iconic poster with the ghoulie popping out of the toilet. That was a piece of marketing that was so popular that when they realized, well, that's not actually in the movie, they went back, did some reshoots, and made sure you got a ghoulie in the toilet. All right, so a lot of times this gets compared to Gremlins. In fact, Warner Brothers tried to sue the makers of this movie for copying them, but it was actually in production at the same time of Gremlins, and that lawsuit went under because they couldn't really tell which one started first. But also, this is a full-on satanic cult movie. This is not just about cute little spooky guys. And I think that makes it perfect for Halloween time. I mean, for one thing, an important scene in this movie is a spooky party where the main couple invite a bunch of friends over and the main guy's like, hey, let's do a ritual. And of course, that summons the ghoulies that are demons. And they are such fun monsters, really fun puppet effects. I just love that kind of stuff. Charles Band loves to do little guy horror movies. He's done a lot of them. This is one of, if not the very best.
Hey, you found one! Palmer gave it to me.
What if we make it worse?
Worse than this?
R.L. Stine's Pumpkinhead from 2025. When his brother disappears and everyone forgets he existed, Sam must unravel the mystery before he is gone forever. So this is a brand new Tubi original that actually just hit this weekend, and I was really excited to see it. I think regular viewers of this channel will not need any explanation about that, but I'm a big fan of R.L. Stine because I grew up on the Goosebump books. They're a huge reason that I am a horror fan today. And I love farmland Disneyland horror. I love Halloween. I love pumpkins. I love living killer scarecrows. And this movie has all of those things. A typical folk horror movie about a town curse that gives you the perfect harvest and sacrifice that needs to be done for it. But this time, it's a kid's movie. Maybe for a little bit older kids. I would say this is a little bit darker and scarier than your typical Goosebumps episode, except for the haunted mask. That thing is terrifying. And I really enjoyed this. It's just a really fun, very Halloween-y, very autumnal gateway horror movie. I'm always looking for more killer scarecrow movies, and this actually delivers on that. This scarecrow looks awesome. It moves in some crazy, creepy ways. Feels like a legitimate threat. The mystery was fun to uncover. The characters are enjoyable to hang out with. Honestly, my biggest criticism of it is it has that typical overly lit streaming movie look. Do you know what I'm talking about? These streaming movies, they're just so bright, they almost look like a sitcom. I hope we as a culture move away from that one day. But the settings, the town, the atmosphere all make up for it. This movie's a blast.
Look at it! Oh! Hours!
Amityville II, The Possession.
Amityville II, The Possession. From 1982. The Montanelli family move into their dream house in Amityville and are immediately plagued by a string of paranormal threats. So while this is the second film in the long-running Amityville series, it's actually a prequel and very loosely based on the real-life DeFeo family. And I think this is very close to the quality of the original film. It might even be better. In fact, even though it wasn't very well reviewed when it came out, Roger Ebert was one of the few who said, yes, this is the better movie than even the first one. But one thing I will tell you definitively is it is way more bonkers. This movie is crazy. Now, it's got phenomenal atmosphere. I love the seasonal feel of this. It feels like late autumn, early winter, and that's confirmed by the end of the movie when you finally get a little bit of snow. It's got a really nice chilly feel to it. The vibe inside the house is, of course, very spooky, and it's so much about this family completely falling apart in often horrifying ways. Like, as the possession is starting to take hold of the older brother, him and his sister have this plot line going, and it's the kind of thing I kind of want burned out of my brain. Like, it's so disturbing, and it was even worse in the original cut of the movie. If you read about the director's first cut, they toned this down a lot. And that is really saying something for how insane the movie still is. As the title would suggest, I feel like this fits even more as a possession film than just a haunted house movie. And it's a good version of it. It's a good possession movie. It has wild special effects. The practical effects are absolutely amazing. There are so many crazy gags going through here. This is the kind of possession haunted house movie that knows there's really no rules to these subgenres, and you can kind of do anything you want. It's got such a dark, evil in your bones kind of feel. But on the flip side, it might have my favorite horror movie priest ever. You've got James Olsen as Father Adamski. I love this guy. He's just such a good dude. And at first, you're watching this family fall apart. It's horrible. It's so dark. It's got a really good cast with people like Burt Young and Diane Franklin. But this priest coming in, he's like the goodness that you need to counteract so much evil that you get in this film. I think Amityville 2 is a fantastic horror sequel, and whether you hold the first movie in the highest regard or you don't even like it, I think you still have a good chance of liking this one.
So, how far along are you?
A day. This is why you use a condom. Oh, this is so not why you use a condom.
Snatchers from 2019. After teenage girl Sarah has sex for the first time, she wakes up the next day 9 months pregnant with an alien. This is one of those modern indie horror films that I just feel so lucky that I found. It's a movie that seems like it's made absolutely no impact whatsoever. Nobody talks about this movie, like almost no one. I heard about it from one guy years ago and just watched it on his recommendation. And ever since then, I've never heard another soul talk about it. But I think it's awesome. It is a horror comedy that is so funny, absolutely hilarious. It's got so many great jokes all through it. I love the characters. I think all of the actors do a fantastic job. Main character and her friend are super likable. There's stuff with the adults, like the mother, that's really great as well. And the boy that she has sex with is hilarious. He's such like a ridiculous, corny jock kind of guy. And as a legit alien horror movie, I think it rocks. Like, it totally delivers for this subgenre. It's packed with practical effects. You've got these little alien monsters popping out of her, multiple of them, and just zooming around. That, much like Ghoulies, these are very much puppetry kind of things. They look really good, and if you're just an 80s horror fan, you're gonna love them. And I was just so happy to see it streaming on Tubi, because I've kind of kept an eye on this movie over the years, seeing like where it's streaming, how I can recommend it for people. I usually never see it streaming for free anywhere. Now it's on Tubi. Anybody can check it out, and I hope its reputation skyrockets from here. Actually, let's go straight into another horror comedy, Saturday the 14th from 1981.
It gets bad on Friday the 13th, but it gets worse on Saturday the 14th.
Despite what the title suggests, this is not a spoof of slasher movies like Friday the 13th. This is a spoof of like old gothic horror movies, of old school monster movies. And it's one I've always wanted to see, partially because of the poster. But I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I fell asleep during this movie twice in the past. I've tried to watch it twice before and fallen asleep both times, but I just watched it successfully all the way through, much because I watched it with my son. He's a toddler, and this movie is PG. I think it's very kid-friendly. It's a total gateway horror movie, and I had a blast watching it with him. I think much more than I would have watching it alone. The cast is surprisingly good. The dad here is Richard Benjamin, who I know from Love at First Bite. The mom is Paula Prentice, who was great in like old school Rock Hudson comedies. And you got Jeffrey Tambor as the vampire. He doesn't look like the vampire on the poster, which is disappointing for me, but hey, at least he is bald. But what does look fantastic are all the other monsters. There are so many monsters that come into this thing. Absolutely my favorite is the basically creature from the Black Lagoon guy, the Gill Man that comes out of the bathtub. My son and I still talk about him. He just calls him the green guy. He loves the green guy. I do too. We can't stop talking about this guy. And it's just a silly, ridiculous, funny, kid-friendly horror movie that's perfect for the October season if you've got little ones.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Show some respect.
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead from 1990. In this remake of the classic 1968 film, a group of people are trapped inside a farmhouse as legions of the Walking Dead try to get inside and eat them. So I want to talk about this today for two reasons. One, I wanted to point out that it's streaming on Tubi, because for a very long time, this movie was not available on streaming ever for any price. And now it's been released on 4K, and I guess that's kind of opened the doors that now it's out there on streaming, so you can check it out. I think that's great. But second, I feel like I've gotten a little bit of a bad rap that I hate this movie, because I put out my top 20 zombie movies recently and I didn't have this on there. And I pointed out that, like, you know, I got the original on here. I'm not going to put the remake on here. And people assumed I hate it. I don't. Now, when I first saw it, it felt incredibly unnecessary because it's almost a shot-for-shot remake. It's almost exactly the same. The main difference here is with the character of Barbara, who's pretty much in a catatonic state in the original film, and here they made her a much stronger, much more proactive, and really the main character. Ben, who's played by Tony Todd here, well, Dwayne Jones will always be Ben to me, but Tony Todd does a good job. Very much takes a back seat, and Barbara takes the front seat, and she's great in here. She's my favorite character in the movie, but I don't throw shade at the original Barbara for going catatonic, because seeing the horrific things she saw in there, I think it's kind of realistic. Some people will react that way. But other than that, exact same movie, but there are some behind the scenes business reasons that this movie exists. Night of the Living Dead is in the public domain. George Romero didn't make any money off of it. This movie was the attempt for a lot of the filmmakers behind the original to actually make some money off of this property. I think that's great. Get your bag. I respect it. But the other plus side with this one is you get 1990s level practical effects, zombie effects, gore. It looks really good. You've got some great looking zombies in here. I still think the first one is creepier, and it is ultimately more horrifying. Something about the black and white and just how dangerous that movie feels for 1968 and how culturally important it was at that time. All of that just makes it a more interesting movie. But this one is fun. It is good. It's like if Night of the Living Dead is a play and you go to see it at a different theater this time. There's some fun to be had with that.
H is for heretic.
I know nothing of witchcraft.
Cry of the Banshee from 1970. In 17th century England, Lord Whitman wages unending war on witchcraft. But one victim of his wrath uses her occult powers to curse his family. So the late 1960s and 70s was a big time for brutal historical witch hunting movies. The king of all of these is Witchfinder General, starring Vincent Price. It's a rough watch, it's disturbing, and it's totally historical, so it doesn't have any actual witchcraft in it. You've also got Mark of the Devil, that's a really good one. This is like one of those movies, but what if it was actually fun? It's much more fantastical. This one does have actual real witches, and it's fun watching them use their witchy powers to attack the evil Vincent Price in here. Vincent Price is so much fun to watch as this brutal and diabolical witch hunter, and it's interesting watching how a bunch of his kids, the characters' kids, not actually Vincent Price, are also characters in the movie and have like conflicting views on their father, and some of them fully want to rebel against how they see him as an absolute monster. But as a supernatural horror film, it's a lot of fun. You get these witchy, culty sequences, these cursing rituals, and the result of one of the curses is a banshee, as the title would suggest, but it's basically a werewolf. So this is pretty much a werewolf movie, and a fun one at that. I think Cry of the Banshee is not necessarily one of Vincent Price's best movies, but it's a really fun hidden gem. If you feel like you've seen all his classics, but you haven't seen this one yet, this is one to check out.
Allow me to present Elvira.
Yeah, nice meeting you too.
Elvira's Haunted Hills.
Elvira's Haunted Hills from 2001. When Elvira gets kicked out of an inn for a slight monetary discrepancy, she is rescued by a local who takes her to stay at a castle in the hills high above the village. So I imagine most of you guys have seen Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. It's a classic to me. I love that movie, even though it certainly wasn't successful when it came out financially. Big cult classic today. This one has a far worse reputation, and I think that's kind of unfair. Now, it was indie funded, it went direct to video, and part of that, of course, is because Elvira did not turn out to be a big box office draw the first time. But also, this movie is so non-commercial. It came out in 2001, and it's a spoof of 60s AIP movies, like the Vincent Price, Roger Corman Poe films, like Mario Bava movies, and it gets those movies so right. The sets look fantastic. It is full-on Price Poe land that they're walking around in. And if you're like me and you're a fan of those movies, you're going to get so much out of this thing. But definitely my favorite aspect of that is this one character who's badly dubbed, like he's in a Mario Bava movie.
Allow me to introduce myself, madam. I am Adrian.
How does he do that?
And I think dropping Elvira into this world works. She can really go into any setting because the whole gag with her is that she's a fish out of water who stands out. She does that in the quaint little suburban 1980s town in the first movie, and she does that in Edgar Allan Poe land in this one. She's funny, she's fun. I'm a huge fan of Cassandra Peterson. Her Elvira character is such a blast to watch, and this one goes way too often under the radar.
It's time for this evening's entertainment.
Lowlifes from 2024. The survival instincts of a road-tripping family are put to the test when they have no other choice but to stay the night at a remote homestead. Yeah, basically, this is a fairly generic setup. Road tripping family runs into some redneck locals. What's gonna happen? But this movie is surprising in a lot of ways, and it's got a lot of really fun curveballs as you go through this. Now, I've talked about this movie before, but I wanted to bring it up again. One, because I'm genuinely a fan of it. It's a Tubi original that I think is actually really good. But also, I am friends with one of the co-directors. It was co-directed by Tesh Gudakanda and Mitch Oliver. Mitch is a guy that I've been podcasting with for a long time, and I actually just did a live stream with him on my very last live stream. And we were talking about this movie, which of course I'd watched before, but he reminded me that it has a really great fall setting to it. It was actually supposed to be a summer movie, you know, summer vacation kind of thing. but they didn't get started filming until late. It was autumn, and Mitch really pushed them all to lean into that, not hide it, put some pumpkins around, and just go all in on the autumnal setting. And I was just looking back through this after he told me that. I was like, yes, this is a great fall setting to it. So it's a great movie to watch in October. It's so fun. It's not a straight up horror comedy, but it does have some great laughs to it, some great gore gags. I think the cast is really, really strong, despite not being big recognizable names. Although it does have Richard Harmon from Final Destination Bloodlines. If you're looking for a modern horror film that's going to give you twists and turns, intensity, but just a really enjoyable experience, Lowlifes is a great choice. Before I go, I just want to send out a massive thank you to my patrons who truly make this channel possible. Thank you guys so much. If anyone else wants to support me, there's always a link to my Patreon in the description below. And I want to give out a special shout out to Penelope Courtney, Sandra T. Meyer, and Talia Daglari. You all are the absolute best. If you want to check these movies out for yourself, I do have streaming recommendations right here on the screen. Yes, they're all on Tubi in the US, but I've also got some other options on there as well as some international options. What are some other movies you think I should check out this spooky season? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to enjoy yourselves today. Have some fun, and I'll see you next time. Bye.